The rules can really help Black women?
I feel like the rules can especially help Black women. I've heard that saying too, the rules aren't for Black women, but I think that also speaks to the realities of the relationship dynamics in the Black community. But the rules, I think, can especially benefit Black women. They're great for all women, but they can especially benefit Black women, again, because as I mentioned earlier, they help you evaluate and vet men. So you're really, I mean, from my experience using the rules, I've been able to eliminate men who are not really interested easily and quickly. Their identifiers flare up quite immediately, so I don't waste time with men who are time wasters, who are just looking for pen pals online, or who are using online dating and just want to email back and forth for 6 months. You can nip those in the bud. You'll be able to tell in about a week that that's what he's interested in. Or guys who just want to text forever, who are, I don't know why, honestly, I don't know why some men do this. Like, why are you just looking for someone to text back and forth with? Why are you just looking for someone to eat? I don't know. I don't understand it. But those time waster guys can kind of be evaluated really quickly. Also, using the rules, you'll be able to tell if a man is in a relationship or not. Is he asking you out for Saturday night dates, or does he only want to meet during the week? Does he only have you call at certain times? Does he only call you at certain times? Does he only call you at late night? That means he's probably looking for something superficial. Or he might have a family at home and he can't, call you during regular hours, because then his wife is going to be like, well, what's up? Or he's doing weekends with his family, so he can't take you out for a Saturday night date. Saturday night is International Date Night. Everybody knows that. So if a man isn't asking you out for Saturday night dates, he's probably not serious about you.
And it's interesting to me how women can invest so much time and money in their appearance, clothes, shoes, the right bag, but they don't invest time in resources that will educate them in how to date and vet properly.
Well, I think they do. I think women actually read books about relationships, men not so much. But I think they're also reading materials that are written by men. And honestly, from my experience, I don't think men give women good relationship advice. I think, honestly, men should speak to men about relationships and women should speak to women about relationships, because a man can't understand a woman's experience. And me as a woman, I can't really relate to a man's experience. So I feel like the advice that guys like Steve Harvey give to women is advice that's ultimately going to benefit men in the relationship realm. So I think women need to be a little bit more selective about who they go to for advice. And I know the rules are hard, and I know a lot of women bristle at the idea of using the rules because it is so hard. You can't put your heart on your sleeve. You have to be a little bit more guarded, and that's hard to do. If you like someone, you want to be open with them, you want to hang out with them all of the time, and it's really hard to do that. It's really hard to say, no, I'm not available tonight, or, kind of guide the situation to where he's asking you out for certain dates of certain nights out of the week. It's really hard to do. So it's not easy. And I completely understand that.
That's interesting. Woman just has to be willing to recognize her value and govern herself accordingly.
Yes.
Well, now that brings another question to mind. What is your view on long distance relationships?
I think they can work completely. Long distance relationships, it seems they'll either move very quickly or they'll move very slowly. You kind of just have to pace that relationship. Definitely, I advise that women not go out to meet men the first couple of times. Like if you live in one city and let's say you live in Dallas and he lives in Atlanta. It's usually advisable that he come to you first and you not fly out to him.
I totally agree with that. I think women have a tendency to do too much of the heavy lifting. We've had instances on the Facebook page where women inbox us and tell us about, I met this great guy, and I met him in this group, yada yada, and I'm gonna drive and meet him, and it's like, why are you driving?
You're not making him do any work. I mean, if he's not coming out to you, then he's probably not that serious, or he's trying to see what else is out there. I understand we're all busy, but if he's really interested, he'll make a way. Mm-hmm. So I definitely think long distance relationships can work, but they can present different challenges than meeting someone in the same city. So
say someone meets someone on Facebook, or I know a girl who met her husband on Twitter. Say you meet someone via social media and you live in different states or different cities. What do you advise as far as how soon is soon enough to actually meet that person face to face?
Well, I definitely think you shouldn't rush into it. If you meet the person on Twitter, it's really hard to get to know someone on Twitter. You only have 140 characters. Mm-hmm. So definitely exchange emails, like maybe 3 or 4 emails, then talk to the person, talk to them over the phone, like maybe 2 or 3 times. If you can Skype and kind of get to see the person, make sure that they are who they say they are. Do that maybe a couple of times before, have him come out to meet you. See if he's interested in taking that next step to maybe come to your city and get to meet you in person and have like a real date and all that good stuff. Mm-hmm.
So speaking of online dating, etc., via these social media platforms, what trends are you observing in interracial dating, and where do you see these trends leading?
I think a lot of people definitely, I don't think a lot of people meet mates on social media. Of course, there's always exceptions, but I think Facebook, Twitter, Instagram are really great places to meet long-term partners. I think definitely online dating is a great place, especially for interracial relationships. It kind of takes that taboo and awkwardness that sometimes still lingers in meeting people and dating them interracially. There's also sites specifically designed with that concept in mind. So I think moving, not just expecting to look for a partner in social media, but just explore all of your options. I think online dating, if that's the route you're interested in, if using your computer, using the internet, if that's what you're interested in, I think online dating is a better resource than social media.
And speaking of online dating, there are a lot of women who tell horror stories or who just kind of shake their head when it comes to that. What are your thoughts on how viable that is, a resource to actually meet quality men?
I've had interesting experiences with men I've met online, just as well as I've had interesting experiences with men that I've met out in the real world. So I think it boils down to people are people. I think you can definitely meet quality people online. I know several people that have gotten married off of Craigslist, that they met their partner off of Craigslist. And to be honest, I've had great dates from men that I've met on Craigslist, even though people are like, oh my gosh, Craigslist is so scary. Haven't you heard of the Craigslist serial killer or what have you? And, you just have to, just as with everything, you have to be able to vet that person. The rules, again, they have great guidelines about how to navigate online dating and what to look for if that person is serious about dating or is serious about meeting you. So if you have that tool available, or if you're interested in reading those books, then you can find quality people and you can have great dates using online dating.
Okay. And are there any sites you think are better than others? Does it matter what sites the person uses?
Everyone's going to have a different experience. I've definitely noticed that. Plenty of Fish is a great site. I know people who've found great interracial relationships off of Plenty of Fish. I know I have a lot of girlfriends who love Match, who swear by Match.com. What other sites are there out there? I have a girlfriend who met her boyfriend. Unfortunately, they broke up, but they dated for about a year. She met him on Tinder.
Really?
Yeah. So everybody is just going to get in where they fit in. So find a site that works for you where, you're getting responses. What works for me might not work for you, might not work for the next woman. But there's a whole array of sites out there, and just find one that works for you. I don't think one is any better than the next one.
So you wouldn't say that a certain quality of man is on one side versus another. It's just a matter of work it to your advantage.
Work it to your advantage. I don't think one side is going to be better than the other. I really don't.
So now, have you seen trends where you think interracial dating has changed for the worse?
Well, I don't think it's necessarily something that's related to interracial dating in particular.
Mm-hmm.
But as I mentioned earlier, just that kind of thirstiness or that kind of desperation. It's never a good look on any woman, especially if you're approaching men first before he, approaches you, or this idea that, being with a non-black man or a man of another ethnicity is going to make the relationship just that much easier. It'll be great. We're going into a relationship dealing with the same issues or kind of with the same mindset that you've had from previous relationships that didn't work, or dysfunctional relationships that weren't healthy for you. It's important to, do the work of making yourself an emotionally available, healthy person, healthy for a relationship. And if you kind of haven't worked through whatever your issues may be, or if you're used to dealing in unhealthy relationships, you're going to have unhealthy relationships with white men or with Asian men or with Hispanic men. So those are kind of the three things that I think people need to be careful about. And I don't think that's anything that's specific to interracial dating in particular.
Mm-hmm. So with those, is that in alignment with your tips for women who are interested in dating interracially? What if there's a woman who has not dated interracially before, but she's intrigued or interested and has come to the point where she's decided, you know what, I'm going to expand my options. Love doesn't have any color. I'm just going to go for it. What would you say to her?
Well, I think it would depend on the woman. I think if she's a younger woman, like maybe she's in college or maybe in her early 20s, I think it'll be a lot easier for her because you're kind of already open at that age. So I would just tell her to kind of step out of her comfort zone. If she's an older woman, like maybe in her late 30s or early 40s, who hasn't really dated interracially ever, or this is kind of something new for her, I think that might be a little bit harder to step out of her comfort zone, because she might have some ideas about white men or men of other ethnicities that she might have to overcome, and that might be a little bit harder to work through than dealing with a woman who's kind of in a different place in her life. Mm-hmm. So I think it would really depend on the woman and her previous experiences, her previous life experiences.
So do you have any just generic do's and don'ts for a woman at any age?
Mm-hmm. A woman at any age who's interested in, who's just starting out in interracial dating.
Yes.
Okay, well, definitely step out of your comfort zone. Whatever your comfort zone is. I know one thing for me, or that's hard for anyone, is going to places that you typically don't go to, whether it be fancy, schmancy, luxury hotel, bars, or kind of like those elite establishment, fancy restaurants where maybe you might feel uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. Those places are good, or taking up hobbies or going to events that you wouldn't normally go to. Like I'm trying to go to a polo event in October that's coming up in my city. I've gone before, but it's not something I normally do. Mm-hmm. So that was kind of a challenge for me. Also, about 2 years ago, I started going to a different gym. It was definitely very different from the gyms that I'm used to going to, and it was awkward at first. It was weird and it was awkward, but now I'm a regular there. They all know me, and I'm more comfortable. Especially if you're interested in dating interracially. I don't know why I feel so awkward saying this, but go to places where the white men are, or where the Asian men are. That's, of course, stepping out of your comfort zone, because you might be the only black woman there. But it'll make you more comfortable taking those challenges, you're doing those things, and you're also much more approachable when you're vulnerable, when you're kind of in that awkward, I don't know what I'm doing.